What's up, guys? This is Joel with 2020 Hot Shot Trucking. It's got a few things I need to look at on the truck. I had a couple of codes pulled up earlier in the week. I had to kind of pushing it kind of hard going up a hill, and really, to be honest, it's more like racing against another truck. Just running right at 75, which is the max I want to run this truck. That's due to the tires. It's on a trailer. That's their speed rating. Don't want to go past that. And then even much past that, you're just inviting to have some issues anyway. So the codes I was getting was for exhaust back pressure error, and also a issue with the IPR value not, what wasn't keeping up. So when I be pushing it real hard, and when you let off the gas, it kind of feels like it tries to die. So maybe the IPR is sticking. It could be something as simple as the inline fuel filters that I have in there. So I know the issue with the exhaust back pressure. That's going to be that 1/4-inch tubing that runs from the exhaust manifold up to the sensor. They're notorious for getting stopped full of carbon. So I'm going to start with that, take that apart, clean it, and go from there. So let's get into it and see what it looks like. Alright, so the sensor we're talking about here is this one right here. There's a tube that runs out the bottom that runs over to the exhaust manifold. So this is what lets the system know how much back pressure is on the exhaust. And with this 4-inch turbo back exhaust, I shouldn't have a whole lot of back pressure. The other thing I'm gonna do is, I guess you can see this belt. I'm missing the outer chunk of the outer section. I had to replace the air conditioner compressor, and I also replaced the idler pulley. When I bought the truck, there's a belt on the ground nearby that looked about the same. So I didn't change it out, and I've been running it like that. I've got a spare in the truck, but I've been running like that just in case there was something else that was going to do damage to it. I wanted to make sure if I needed to replace any other idler pulleys that I wouldn't have be replacing the belt again. They're $50 some a piece, so it really sucks to replace one of those belts, fire it back up, run them a couple miles down the road, and tear it up again. And I know from experience. So don't want to run very long with this. The damage that belt can do is tremendous. I've paid a pretty high tow bill. One of them things ripped the coolant lines and the transmission lines loose. So anyway, let me get you set up, and we'll get to see if we can get the thing out of there. Well, I'm going to start with get this belt out of the way. Like I said, it's got to come off anyway. I need a bigger cheater. All right, let's try this again. So I've got to take this serpentine belt off. There's a place to put a 1/2-inch ratchet or breaker bar on there. I like to put a cheater on there, and my cheater grew wings. It took me quite some time to find it. It's such a productivity stealer when you can't find what you need. I had it in my truck, but in the interest of trying to get the weight down, apparently I took it out of there. And it makes it a lot easier to have a nice long cheater. I have other things that would work in the truck in an emergency. You stick a combination wrench on there, anything. But I wanted my cheater. So it just took me a while to find it. that belt out of there. I can keep this in the truck as an extra spare. I already have one that's like that. Which, like I said, when you have a problem with these idler pulleys, it can certainly cause issues. Almost if I can't get this looking down in there where that's actually it. Ah, so there's the back pressure sensor. That's this right here. There's a 1/4" tube that runs up from the manifold up underneath it. I use a 9/16 to hold the sensor. It's mounted in a little bracket, and then I'm gonna put a 5/8 on the tube. Of course, this fan is kind of in the way. That wasn't very tight. That's a good thing. So once it's loose, I can take the 9/16 off of there. Let's see. There's such an abundance of room. I've seen these things plugged up in the sensor portion and in the tube. I've seen the tubes. I've had one that was actually broken. It's probably going to be just a little too tight for my fingers, which I can't really, there we go, hard to get on them. Boy. Okay. Okay. There's a bunch of junk in there. Now, other end. That might be a different story trying to get to it. Alright, let me find out how to get to it, and then we'll see if we can find it and show it to you. Alright, that's the other end of the tube there where it's hooked up to the exhaust manifold. So I'm probably going to have to crawl up underneath there and see if I can't get that thing loose. It is a steel line. They do rust out. Hopefully it's not rusted out, but I do have another one on my other truck. I can always go steal it. In fact, I can show you a better view of it. Oh, hold on. I guess I could have started here and show y'all. This is a 7.3 that's out of that my other truck. So here's your exhaust back pressure sensor. This is that tube I just loosened up. It runs down across the front of that head and down here into the manifold. So I guess y'all know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get that other tube out of there and I'm going to put this one on there. And I cleaned up the other one when I get this engine put in my white truck. All right. That'll make it easy. All right, I got it loose. I don't know how long that camera's gonna stay where it's at. It's hard to find something to hook that thing on and get it aimed at what you're trying to look at. But I'm laying underneath the truck. I thought I had it pretty loose, but it's not that loose. This is a common thing to have plug up and be robbing you of your fuel mileage. This truck already gets a good 10 miles a gallon while it's pulling, which ain't bad. But I know it could be better. But with a 410 rear end, you're not gonna do real great, especially when you're pulling a trailer that weighs 6,600 pounds empty. Boy. The other end came off pretty easy. This end's fighting me, so I imagine it hasn't been off. Well, it's exposed to the heat more than the other end is. Boy. Of course, I'm getting a hand cramp from work with my arm up in the air that far. That's the joys of getting old. All right. Oh, look at that. Can y'all see that? Look at that. That big old hole. All right, let me get out of here. All right, there we go. It's got a big old hole in it here. I'm gonna just check and see if it happened to be stopped up also. It had some carbon in it, but it doesn't appear to have been stopped up. Ooh, there was a lot in that side. Tastes real good. All right, let's go take the one off the other truck, or off the other engine, and see if we can't get that installed. All right, y'all can tell by that time lapse. Once I broke it loose, I was able to get it out by my fingers, so I imagine this is not the original tubing. It had a little bit of powder in it, but it certainly wasn't stopped up. So I don't see any holes in this one, and it's not rusty either. So I think this has been replaced. So we should be good to go. All right, let's get it in there. All right, I decided to go ahead and pull that sensor off. Pulled the sensor off the other engine. There's a little bit of crap in it, but not a whole lot. But just an interest in not having to come back in here and do this all over again. Let's see if I can't get this thing pulled out of here, and if I can find the release on this connector. About feels like there's no tab on it. I feel where it's supposed to be, but I don't feel it. Some sharp plastic is all I feel down there. Well, that answers that. That connector is broken, but it was in there pretty good. I don't think it was loose. Now this other one was real tight on there, so I gotta grab the bottom with the 9/16. Grab the body with a 1 inch. I don't have a 1 inch deep socket, so I'm stuck with a big wrench trying to get in here. I may just leave well enough alone, but well, let's see. No, it's not as tight as the other one was. It may be that somebody has replaced this sensor, and maybe they just didn't realize that the tube had a hole in it. time I've had this error come up on one of my 7.3s was from a tube. I've never had a bad sensor, but since I have one, I'm gonna go ahead and change it out. And I won't be able to test this till I get a load on the thing. I'll have to put my trailer on and hit a big hill. That's the only way I'm gonna find out. This truck here, with no load on it, no trailer, it's kind of fun to drive, you know what I mean? It's got some pretty good pep with the 410 rear end. All that power and nothing to use it on. My programmer has a race mode. I hadn't tried it on this engine. I did it on my utility body, and that big old heavy utility body, lift gate and everything, and I sure burned up some tires with it, just playing. So this is kind of what the other one looked like too, but this one does look worse. I don't know how well y'all can see that. Get some light on it. So there's quite a bit of junk in there. Like I said, I don't think it's bad, but I'm going to change it out anyway. All right, that was fun. So, I don't know if y'all noticed it, but I put some, this is Loctite 567, which actually comes with the sensor that goes on certain manufacturers of deep fryers they use in restaurants. This stuff here, I use it for anything that's real small, and I want to use some Teflon. It's not a Loctite, it's actually a thread sealant. So it works real good with high temperature oil. So oil in a fryer typically runs 350, 375, 360. You know, depends on the type of oil that they're using in their product. Look at these pins. Oh boy, get the light back out of here. Is on this. All right, right like that. It's got a nice seal on it. That it's just a little tab is broken off. In case y'all ever have a problem getting this sensor off of there, this cover right here. There's two 8mm screws. That's the cover to get to the gear for the high pressure, the HPOP, you know, the high pressure oil that's used for the injectors. That's the cover where you take off to get to the nut to get the that pump out of there. And you can take those off, and that whole thing comes with it. It's the flare connector is made onto that little bracket there. It doesn't thread through it. So now the other problem I have is with this, I believe it's an IPR problem, but it could be the wiring for that sensor right there. One of the things they say is to check to see if there's oil inside of that connector, because that connector is going to be just like the one I just pulled off. It's going to have that, and in fact you can see the little yellow line right there. It's got that seal to keep the oil out, so any oil that's in there is going to come from the sensor itself. So when they go to leaking, that's a good telltale. So let's pull the thing off. Just pull that tab out a little bit, it pops right off. So and it's covered with oil. So we're going to change that thing out. Let's see what it looks like. Y'all can see that. It's quite wet with oil. I don't think that came from my finger. Let's see if we can see down the side of it. The light just won't stay where you want it. Let's pull it out of the way. Alright, maybe you can see a little better now. I've kind of zoomed in. But that's supposed to be a telltale that that sensor's gone bad, having it. When you see that connector is all covered with oil, it comes from inside the sensor. So I'm gonna pull the one off the other truck. Oh, sorry, I keep saying the other truck, off the other engine. All right. I already popped it loose. This one's different than the other one. But like I said, this one is real wet down inside there. There was a little bit of oil in the other one. Nothing like that. This one, it's more like the other ones I've seen. It has it's a different shape. I don't know which one's new, which one's old. I haven't had to buy one of these. But I'm kind of glad that I found what may be a smoking gun. Boy, now get a wrench down there. That's the problem I had with the socket. Wasn't a good shot in there because of those fuel lines. But I have to use a crow's foot on it. I have a crow's foot that size because I've done refrigeration work most of my life, and that is a common size for an expansion valve. And oh, come on. Something tells me this may be the old style, and they changed it to make it easier to get in and out. This crow's foot's a little on the thick side. I may not be able to get it tight with that. Wow, there's always something, ain't it? Reach in from down in the valley. Squeeze my arm down in there. That light. I don't know about this now. I think I can get it from down there. I may have to take that intercooler line off. Man, I tell you what. Alright, so the battery died and my GoPro got it charging. But I took just the one end loose, just pulled this up out of the way a little bit. Also got my positive from my, don't want to arc out there. I was trying to be careful about that, but I was able to get a wrench in there, get it tight. I cleaned up the connector, put it back together. So I was going to put the boot back on, tidy some things up, and put that belt back on there. Hang on, guys. Alright guys, I don't know how well you can see this, but I'm sure I got a quick little video clip of that thing dripping. That line feels like it's rusted. I noticed, I was just eyeballing things, that there was a lot of diesel fuel here in this valley, and I dried it all up, started it up, and sure enough, it was dripping off that line. I felt the line, and I kind of felt that was what it was going to be, so let me get that thing swapped out. Alright, here's the old line here. This is where it sits, the lowest point in the valley, and you see an awful lot of corrosion on there. The sad truth is that this truck sat for quite some time. The original owner, he passed, and so there was a huge rat nest up in there. That was, I mean, I've got gallons worth of stuff out of there. So probably the urine from the rats has eaten that thing up. So I'm going to show you here on this other engine what it takes to get that out. Is easier to explain on this one. So this is the line here where it comes out of the filter housing, goes around up underneath the glow plug relay, down in the valley, and it winds up over here, the driver side's head. Every single sensor connection has to come out, come loose, and the glow plug relay bracket and everything is going to have to come out. And the drain line here for the bowl, we got the little valve to empty the bowl, that's got to come out. The thing has to pass over that. So I'm going to get this one out, take a look at it. I'm sure it wasn't leaking, but the other one sure was. Alright, we've got her back running. These numbers ain't going to tell you anything right now. Top left is your engine oil temperature. It's still warming up. The next one below that is 211. That's the exhaust gas temperature. Engine's just idling and it ain't doing nothing. Down below that is transmission temperature. I have a sensor that's in the port on the side of the transmission, so that is the higher temperature reading, which is right off the torque converter, the pump. 87.4 right now. Upper right is the boost, and it's not really going to show anything. You can't get anything with, I mean, there's just no load on it. IPR percent 12.9, and the IPR pressure, the bottom right, it's in the low 500s. So I have to get it on the road and put a load on it to see if you know, everything worked. But it definitely stopped a leak, so I'm matching my gas, my fuel mileage will go up a little bit. All right, guys. So we'll wrap this up. We repaired the back pressure line where it had a hole in it, so that was causing that P0470 error code. There was another code for the IPR pressure, and hopefully that sensor took care of that. If I have to, I can take the IPR out of the IPR valve itself out of that other engine and stick it in here, but I'm not gonna do that unless I have to. The one in my white truck is new. I did replace it a year or two ago. So far I'm happy with the way the truck's running. You know, the fuel mileage is better than the other truck, but it seems like it has a little bit less power. I see on the exhaust gas temperature, I'm not running anywhere near as high as I was with the other, with my red truck, and you know, it could be that one of those sensors, you know, have an issue. Won't really know the repairs today, the effect on them until I get out and put a load on. I'm gonna have to hook the trailer up and take it up one of these long hills, and push it real hard and see what it does. And I'll probably bring my laptop and hook it up with the Auto Ingenuity to capture some data. So if it does fail, I'll have a good idea of what's going on. So summary, with getting back into hot shotting, I've taken 6 loads so far this year. I took 2 loads in April. I wasn't really looking for them. I just happened to reply to some emails, and I took 2 loads. My mom had a couple strokes. She's been real weak. It's going to cost too much money to have a nurse spend, their whole day here with my mom, so I can be out at work. I might as well stay at home and watch my mom. I mean, it's a no-brainer. $19 an hour for a nurse, it adds up pretty quick. So this past week I got my tax information to my CPA, so I can stop playing with QuickBooks and receipts and all that good fun. So signed back up for a load board. I signed up for truckstop.com this time. I had DAT, and DAT just wanted to keep jacking the price. I just need the basic stuff. I don't need all that fancy stuff. I'm not out on the road going from point A to point B to point C to point D, just chasing the loads around the country and making some decent money like the rest of the hot shots are. I'm pretty much, I got to be home every night. I've got 4 big dogs, and I've got my mom. If I can have somebody take care of my dogs, I might be able to take a longer load. But then I still have to deal with my mom. We ain't sleeping in the truck, I'll put it that way. So I've run 3,407 miles on 6 loads. Fuel mileage has been running around 10 miles to the gallon. I'll get some exact figures on that, but I expect that number to go up now that I fix that fuel leak. So I'm happy with the way the truck is doing. The downside to this truck, it is 4-wheel drive. It weighs more, and it actually has less of a weight capacity on the rear. They increased the front, I guess, because of the front axle weighs more. Maybe because of the transfer case, some of that weighs towards the front. So they increased the number for the front axle and decreased it for the back. So not only do I have a heavier truck, but now I have less I can put on the tongue of the trailer. So I moved a lot of stuff around. I added some toolboxes to the trailer. I've added an underbody box. It wasn't designed as one, but I turned it into one. And so I put my chains and my snap binders in there, some of the heavy steel. I mounted my spare tire underneath the trailer, back in front of the front axle. I also have all my dunnages up underneath the trailer. It's up over the axles. Got them strapped in down there. So moved some weight around. So with the old rig, I could, if I positioned everything correctly, I could haul 10,000 pounds on a trailer. Now I'm looking at about 9,000. So it's I've taken a hit there. That's 4-wheel drive, but I'll have a video coming out with some of the information on some of these loads that I've hauled. The other day I hauled a 8.5 foot diameter tank. This was a 5,000 gallon tank. I hauled it up to right up near Chattanooga. It was right next to Lookout Mountain, and this guy had a driveway straight from hell. The elevation change was over 300 feet from the bottom to the top. So one good thing about having 4-wheel drive is I didn't lock the hubs. I just put it in a 4-low, and it was quite the show. Unfortunately, I can't play the audio for that because my big dumb butt left my stereo on. I like my Sirius XM radio 60s on 6, and so the stereo was playing, and you got all the sound of the engine pulling real hard, and I'll have to mute that because YouTube will shut it down on me. Copyright infringement on the songs that we're playing. So anyway, I'm gonna try to get this video posted, and I'm gonna work on some others just to show some of these loads that I've hauled. Don't have a lot of good footage. Have had a lot of problems with my GoPro. It seems that once I use it to record the action of getting to a customer, take it outside, set it up, watch the unload. When I put it back in my truck. As soon as I plug it back in, the thing shuts off, and it's kind of discouraging, you know. So I've got bits and pieces. I'll just put together a video that's just like it's showing all of them, or maybe I'll split them up. We'll see. But anyway, glad, you know, happy with the truck. It's doing good. The best thing about this truck, this was not a fleet truck. All the other 7.3s that I've bought over the last couple of years, this is my 6th one that I've bought in the last couple of years. All of the other ones have been company trucks, and you can imagine that they weren't very well taken care of. The gentleman that owned this truck, his son assures me that this was his pride and joy. He loved this truck, and I wholeheartedly believe that. It definitely shows in the way it's been taken care of. This thing runs so much smoother than the other ones. You know, I mean, this is my 3rd early 99, but it's well taken care of. I had a lot of maintenance issues I had to take care of to get it going, but I'm very happy with it. Plan on getting many miles out of this thing. So until next time, be sure to like and subscribe and leave comments, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. Take care now. Bye.